2:30. Yeah, I'm with you, Jonathan.
7:08.
Good evening. The time is 7:08 p.m. The City of East Cleveland Finance Committee meeting Tuesday, January 14th, 2020 is now called to order. Dr. Guy, can you call the roll, please?
Counselor Austin.
Present.
Counselor Stevenson. Present. Counselor Smith.
Present.
We have our law director, William Hemmons, here for administration.
Thank you. Next, we have remarks of public on agenda items. 2 minutes, please.
Seem to be a blank slate in reference to that. Only thing I have to say in reference to the agenda, finance. This is what it is. In all respect to, I'm calling chief of staff. There's no position of chief of staff. When you call a finance meeting, the finance meeting should be directed and the information should come from your finance director. He is responsible for the finances of the city, not chief of staff or whoever that may be, or anyone else. He is the one that your information should come from. In reference to whatever going on as far as finances, not slightly, headly, Charles, the finance director. That's who is responsible. That's who has been, this city have, took out a bond on him, and that's whom you should be listening to, not someone else. And if you don't, and anything come up, he'll say, well, I did not inform you that. Go back and get the record. You'll see who they're talking. And also, because you usurping his authority as the finance director. He is responsible.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Come on up.
As far as how the finances be allocated, I think it should consider fixing the elevator because it's very difficult for people like me. And thank God I got some ability back now, but can't make it up to the prosecutor's office. I had a hard time making it to the prosecutor's office for a very long time. They had made a few adjustments here and there, but still, you know, you want to be able to get up there and be where you can have some privacy with the prosecutor. Or in the mayor's office. Be able to meet the chief mayor. I wanted to make a proposal to have it elsewhere in the building, but however, when I requested for a floor plan, there was none available because I wanted to work with on the floor plan to make some suggestions. So that's pretty much under the bus right now. So consider that. I think, you know, we could, give a part, somewhat of priority for those who have disabilities. There's a lot of people, since I've been disabled, I've seen a whole lot of people that are disabled. And typically, they'll probably would not come up the street and not even show up or participate in things that they would need to participate in order to make their lives better. So you can make the disabled person's life better. I speak for all those disabled people that see in the school.
Thank you very much. Next, we have our December 2019 financial report. As As always, we have our finance director, Charles EIN, here with us as we do each and every finance committee meeting. To go over the December end of the year end of the month, and actually end of the year finance reports.
Good evening, council. Before you is the December report. I'm not sure if anybody got a chance to look at it prior to the meeting. As always, I post the financials on eastcleveland.org website and under the finance department homepage for the public to look at, and also for council to have this to not only for everybody to see, but also to cut down on paper, as in years past, just to print out all these books, and we still got some lingering around from years past around City Hall. So we ended in the year pretty good, and we can start each page starting with the general fund revenue comparison. So it's estimated that we was going to overall in the general fund bring in $12.5 million, and we actually ended up bringing in $12.7 million in the general fund. A lot of that had to do with property tax and special assessments. We received more than was anticipated, about a little over $100,000 more in property taxes and special assessment in 2019. Local government, we also received more than we anticipated, about $75,000, and that's mainly because the state made an increase in the local government fund distribution back in August of 19. So that was why that increased, as the state did their biannual budget. They increased the local. It was something that a lot of cities were pushing for them to do. It wasn't a huge increase, but it definitely, for us, it definitely helped out. Building housing permits and fees, we received 27,000, close to 28,000, a little bit more than what we anticipated. So that's just predicated on the efforts of the Building and Housing Department and their efforts in just doing elections and making sure those who supposed to have permits, the annual registration fees, whether that's CBO, the Certified Business Occupancy, or a rental occupancy fee. Did a good job of, and we're continuing those efforts to make sure we get more and more compliance. And the traffic camera, automated traffic enforcement, projected $1.9 million, and we got 1.869. So at least a little over 1.9 was what we anticipated, and we got 1,869,000 in traffic camera receipts. So we estimated too much, 31,000 too much in that. And other, again, that's just a combination of all other receipts that we get in throughout the year. So anticipated getting 770,000 in other receipts, and we got 780,000. So we got a little close to 10 million more than we anticipated. So overall, I'm sorry, thank you, 10,000. Sorry about that. So overall, we received 185,000 more in receipts than we had anticipated in the general fund. So that's 1% more than what we had anticipated in the receipts in 19. On the expenditure side, general fund, we anticipated council appropriated $12,326,000. We ended up spending $11,773,000. So we only spent 96% of what was appropriated. So we were underspent 4%. So that also helped out tremendously. So we received more than we anticipated and spent less than what we anticipated. So you'll see how that affected the fund balance shortly. Street fund is the fund with mostly the gas tax and the auto registration comes from, and those monies are predicated for doing service work. And we have most of the service workers expenditures there, so anticipated 773,000. Now those appropriations, and we only spent 714, so we're going to spend 92,000. So underspent there in 8%. EMS fund again appropriated 736,000. Only spent 691,000, so we only spent 6% there. And lastly, and these are just the funds that are, from my perspective, really important. A lot of the other funds are grant funds, so money comes in, money goes out. But these are not grant funds, so it's always, we need to always keep a close eye on these funds here. Permanent improvement, 552,000 we appropriated, only spent 510, so we spent 92%. So overall, amongst all four of these funds, we underspent 5%. And so then, as I always have my charts to kind of give a visual of the numbers that I just read up, just a visual, and comparing from last year. In December. So last year, or end of the year of 2018, we had receipted 11,972,000. 2019, the year we received 12,744,000. So camera program, council approving the new legislation back in 18, efforts in building and housing, property tax. Those are the main drivers of why we received more money in 19 than 18. Expenditure wise, comparing 18 to 19. 18, we only spent $10,315,000. In 19, we spent $11,773,000. So we spent more than we did in 18, but obviously we had more receipts. So we definitely obviously want to spend the resources that we receive so we can better the community. So the spending should, wisely should increase as we try to provide the residents more and more services as we get more and more receipts and resources. Police department, $2.8 million last year in expenditures in 18, I'm sorry, not last year. In 2018, last year, 19, 3.4 million in police expenditures. There were an increase in salary, 1% increase for the police that drove some of those costs. Maintaining vehicles, doing a lot of repairs in the police department, in the building itself. So those are kind of the main reasons why the police department expenditures. And hopefully the morale, I believe, as you talk to the police over the course of last year, the morale, as we put more money into the departments, I've seen, morale picked up, as we utilize the resources for the citizens. We also want to maintain, our workforce and make sure we show them, give them the tools they need to serve the community. And so, that's kind of the reason why the expenditures, again, increase in the police department. Fire department, 1.727 in 18 and 19, 1,790,000. So slightly increased, not as much as police, and mainly because the fire department has the EMS fund. So they have their own. They have two funds. They have the SAFER grant, the FEMA grant, so they have employees that get paid off the grant, and they also have the EMS fund from the EMS runs. So that's also support their expenditures. So when you look at the general fund for the police, it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. And what I will do, as I'm saying this, in 2020, I'll include. When I talk about the fire department, I include, when we look at their numbers, include those other funds to kind of give a more holistic view of what they're spending, even though they have grants, if that makes sense. Really been just highlighting the general fund for the last couple of years because we're in fiscal emergency, and I just we need to always keep our eye on the general fund, make sure we're not, putting ourselves back into the deficit in the fund. So that's why a lot of the numbers are always really focused on the general fund, because that's what gets you in fiscal emergency. Service, 811,018 expenditures, and 972,000 expenditures. So increasing as I've been to a lot of meetings. Service gets a lot of attention. So so expenditures have increased in the service department as well. So then I have a overall comparison of just the appropriations that were given to the different departments in the general fund and what they spent. And so, as you see, most of the departments spent a little under their appropriations outside of refuse collection fee is not a department, that's just the trash collection. So we just paid 100% of the bill for that.
That's Rumpke.
Yep, that's Rumpke, exactly. Mayor's office 100%, law department 100%, East Cleveland Municipal Court 100%, HR was 100%. That they utilize their appropriations, but overall, with all those departments using less, overall 4% less. We overall the general fund didn't spend through all the total appropriations we had. And then the next report is the month-to-date fund report. So at the end of December, there were two funds that had a deficit in the fund at the end of the year, and that was the FEMA grant, and that is because the FEMA grant is predicated to requesting reimbursement for the expenditures. And we received the reimbursements for the first, second, and third quarter in 2019, but the last payroll for 2019 was December 27th. And so there was going to be a quick turnaround from December 27th to the end of the year for us to receive the reimbursement for the fourth quarter expenditures. But that reimbursement request is going to happen this month to get the fourth quarter spending from the FEMA grant. And the other fund was the Community Development Block Grant Fund, and that was because we did not get the drawdown for all of the payroll expenditures for 2019 in time. So, but we did get it the second week of January. So that fund, as of today, is not negative, but at the end of the year, it was negative $30,000. But again, both of these are grants, and the general fund had enough cash balance to supplement those funds. So basically what that means is the general fund ended the year at $1.3 million. If the general fund needed to advance funds from the general fund to the FEMA and the community block grant, it would still be positive, the general fund. So all in all, we still in a fantastic shape regarding just the resources that we have in managing it. And the year-to-date report is just showing at the beginning of the year of 19 and the end of the year the fund balances. So the general fund at the beginning of 19, we had a positive $374,000 balance. With all the receipts that came in, all the expenditures in the general fund, we ended the year at $1.3 million in the positive general fund balance. And then I've been working here off and on from 2006, and I came back in 2015, and I don't recall outside of when we had a water department, and we used to, I think, at times borrow money from that fund when the general fund was short in advance. I don't recall a time where a general fund balance, since I've been here, was at the clip it is at this point. So that's just great management on city council, administrative side, just to, making sure that we are utilizing our resources in the right way. And again, all the other funds outside of the FEMA fund and the Community Black Grant Fund ended in all positives. Yes.
I noticed that the home program was in a negative too, about 18K. It's the line 2239 on that report you just got to be talking about.
So what you see there is the encumbrance, and that represents purchase orders. So there were purchase orders that were not paid on that made that fund go negative. So the home program, it's a matter of what I could have did is easily just canceled out all those purchase orders at the end of the year, and it would have made a positive 20,000, and then reissued the purchase orders in 2020 because they still need those purchase orders. It's just a matter of timing of the program, them not actually doing the expenditure yet. So they ask the purchase orders way ahead of time and they anticipate projects going to be paid on in a year, but for different reasons. For mainly the whole getting money from HUD every year, it's always this time lapse between the federal government approving those dollars and them being able to use those dollars before the end of the calendar year. So that's just one of those things where during 2019 they asked for $39,000 worth of purchase orders. I guess anticipation of using those dollars in 2019, but they end up not using, so they carry forward. And so what you see there is the unexpensed balance of $20,000 for the home program. But then you have purchase orders of $39,000. You subtract the $39,520 from the 20, you get the negative 18. So, but again, those purchase orders
Was anything delivered, or was that just, those are just requests?
The whole program is the paint, home repair. So I guess just, I guess, the work just wasn't done yet.
The
So
work wasn't done?
yeah, they
Okay.
bid out for the work, and somebody wins the bid, and then they ask for a purchase order, but for various reasons, again, getting the dollars, the weather, the vendor and their schedule, they may not actually get to doing that work. So the purchase order just sits there. So that's also the same thing. I think I don't think any other fund cost that happened like that was positive, but then because of the outstanding purchase order, they made it a negative. But that's the reason for that. And I try to close out all purchase orders. I ask the departments, when I get towards the end of the year, hey, do you think you got this purchase order still open?
Like at the very end?
Because they don't need it open, I can close, because when you leave them open, it does, make the fund, it can make the fund, and reduce the fund balance when you leave it open. And they may say, yeah, we need it open, don't close the purchase order, so don't close.
As always, great question. Took my question straight off my notes, but I have another, because he was giving great info, and I was trying to write it down, and I missed one. The 4% of the local government fund, you was explaining that it went over why, because I missed that part.
Oh, just because the state increased the distribution to all the cities and towns, wherever, and when they did their budget, they gave like a 1% increase to the local government fund across the board.
This is the line item that could be affected with the House bill.
Tomorrow when we
talking.
when we have our fiscal commission meeting tomorrow, this will be the hot topic.
And for the benefit of the people, it'll be Wednesday, January 15th at 10:30 at the East Cleveland Public Library, 14101 Euclid Avenue, the Financial Fiscal Commission meeting. Councilwoman Corinne Stevens.
I have nothing.
Thank you, Brother Ian.
No problem.
I did have a couple more little notes.
Oh.
I noticed that we had a balance on hand that would allow us to make some adjustments to the plan. I think we talked about having, finding some resources to get a council clerk. I think the estimated salary was about $15,000. So in the next year, we'd like to revisit that opportunity because, having somebody on staff that can bridge the gap and do some of the research that we're going to require in the upcoming year. Because we're going to get that charter together.
Okay.
We're going to look over some of those ordinances and those things that are going to help us in the future. There is a roof in the police department. Keep on getting patched. You know about that leak?
Where?
In the police
You
department
see.
on the backside.
Yeah, I know.
On the backside, it's a lot of leaks.
Right. So, but my thing is, I want to
Is
see
it a leak in the jail? Is it a leak in the little roof?
Right. So as we start looking at some of the available resources, let's talk about not just doing a little patch stuff to make it last for like a couple
Yeah.
of months. Let's go ahead on and fix some of the things that are, if it's okay. We just want to take a look at doing some of those kind of things that we know are reoccurring events because they're not being, executed to the maximum within the limits of our resources. And I know that on the street light line, we have a few dollars left. And I don't know if we can use those, as we see those resources available at the end of the year, kind of plan or, see if we can encumber those dollars to have, the lines ran or, we already have some poles on order. But let's take a look at doing some technological updates on our lighting system. Make a little bit more, whether they're solar powered or things that, we, may not have to spend so much money on electricians getting scored away.
Will be more efficient.
Yeah, just some creativity with those available resources within a specific appropriations. So the street life specifically.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for all you do. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Next, we have remarks and requests of the public. 3 minutes, please.
To the finance director, how many persons, I should have asked that, but anyway, in buildings and housing and police, how many employees, and also, I understand, I would like to know what's driving the price up. You said it was 2.8 million, 800 million. No, I'm sorry, $2,800,000 was allocated to the police in 2018, and in 2019, $3,400,000. 2019, so what's driving those prices, and also when there was in FEMA and also the block grants, that was a negative balance. Did you come before council and ask them to appropriate monies to continue to operate those persons that or employees that was in these particular grants, if you can recall, because that should have been brought before council to even take money out of the general funds to put into these grants to continue their operation until which time they were refunded. And what's another question I had? Well, just answer those. There's some other questions I had in reference to the Friday. I guess that was a local government fund. Was I guess you said something was $75,000, and that was 2019, and then in 20. I didn't write it down, but thank you. You should have given me. But I would appreciate answering those questions as to how many employees in there and what does that money cover. So why is there an increase and also a decrease? So some of that.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley.
Request, my only request, and my only request is to get a copy of the, I was trying to get that, of the finance, papers. Yes, ma'am?
Thank you. Caring enough to want one. Next, we have response of council and mayor, remarks of the public. Mayor King.
Thank you, Council President. As was stated earlier, and I too would encourage all interested residents, or not residents, but all interested persons to come to the Fiscal Commission meeting tomorrow, 10:30 at the East Cleveland Public Library. You'll hear a more in-depth discussion of the city's finances, where the city is at. I'd like to yield some of my time to Willa to see if she had any comments, as she sat through most of the meeting. I apologize, I was outside with a concerned resident and some pressing issues.
Madam Law Director.
I'm just glad that we ended in such a positive way with more receipts than we had anticipated and less expenditures. And I would like to commend the finance director for doing such a great job.
Concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you both. Councilman Austin.
Oh, yeah, as we take a look at some of the, just making sure we close out whatever outstanding debt, if we have any, respectfully, I, again, appreciate what you do. Thank you. We did pass legislation to allow reappropriations at the end of 2019, so that respectfully, the books can be balanced in a responsible way and cover whatever expenditures that were not forecasted adequately. So I do appreciate the administration requesting it and the finance department for executing it. Some to your questions or concerns, that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Corinne Stevens.
The only thing that I have is I'm getting requests, and I think the council has gotten requests for copies of the mayor's estimate. And that is something that I think we need to get out because people want to see it. I don't know what the process is for getting it out, but it's something that's required by the charter, and we need to look into doing that.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Want to thank all my colleagues, Mayor, Madam Law Director, our great clerk, our very fine Finance Director, a great cameraman, and most importantly, our great residents for coming out to see about the finances of the city. We've been stating in recent times, we do need and we are looking into forming a charter review committee. We hope that citizens line up at the door to be a part of that committee. I'll give you an example. It was a young man, he was charged with other charges, but in his charges were cursing on Euclid Avenue. And remember, we saw that in the charter, and it was an old law, and it was something that we were looking into. So that was just an example.
You saw that in the ordinance, not in the charter.
But in the order, you're right, in the ordinance. I want to thank this new committee, this new finance committee. I'm very confident in this committee. My two colleagues are great with finances, and I can't wait to see what the future brings. So on that note, no, we don't have to make a motion to adjourn, but I like to anyway.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And the reason we don't have to because it's a committee meeting, but I still like to go through that process. Thank you.